Hello everybody and welcome to today's review of One Night in Miami. It is the new film directed by Regina starring Kingsley, Ben-Adir, Eli Goree, Aldis Hodge, and Leslie Odom Jr. The film predominantly takes place in a motel room in 1964 where we see a fictitious conversation happen between four famous black men of the time. There's Malcolm X, a civil rights leader, Muhammad Ali, a boxer, Jim Brown, an NFL football player, and then there's Sam Cooke, a famous soul singer who has made a career for himself performing before predominantly a white audience and singing songs that were made for white audiences. Now, what these men have in common was that despite what they were able to achieve in life, they are still treated unequally and unfairly simply because they are black. Now, how the story starts is that Muhammad Ali wins a title match and Malcolm invites him and the other two into his motel room, presumably to celebrate his victory, but when they got there, they realized it was all a ruse just so that Malcolm could get all four of them into a room to talk about civil rights and where they all fit in it. And you would think because of their shared experiences that they would be on the same page. They're not. And that was what was so compelling about this drama. Each of these men have their own agenda. And basically throughout this whole film, you see these ideas clash. And pretty soon, all of them are forced to re-examine their lives and reflect on the choices that they've made and really think about what they are doing to help the black community. I don't want to give too much away because if I tell you where each of these men stand for, I'm essentially giving away the entire plot of the film. This is a very talkative film, but it was very interesting to see how these men are different, and yet despite the fact that they are all subjugated to racism in America, there's still no unity among them. By the time you get to the end of the film, you realize that all this stuff that happened in the 60s is clearly relevant to what's going on today. Makes you think that things really have not changed all that much, and we still have a long way to go. Now, I'll say there is one issue I had with the film, and that was the beginning. When the film starts, it is kind of slow. There is no sense of urgency, there's no intensity, and I was kind of lost in what the characters were talking about. I felt like the actors were just saying the lines without really being invested in what the moment was all about. However, I would say that's just the first part of the film. The other 90% of the film, which is basically the four of them in a motel room talking, that is surprisingly where the film picks up steam. And that was when I became really emotionally and intellectually invested to what was being discussed. Now, One Night in Miami is based on a play written by Kemp Powers, who also adapted his own script for this film. When you're watching this film, yeah, you could totally tell this was a play. I mean, most of the time you're confined in one area and it's just people talking about their lives, talking about, what they've all gone through, pretty much reminiscing on the past, the present, and figuring out where they're going to go in the future. I mean, that's essentially what a play is. It's just talking about a present situation and how to move forward from it. And in my opinion, it's very tricky to adapt a play into film. As somebody who has directed for both stage and film, the mediums are completely different. When you're watching a stage play, everything is very showy because you're in one setting and the only thing that moves around are the actors. So they really have to sell the story using their bodies and using their voices. But with film, it is very reliant on visuals. Now, this is Regina King's directorial debut. She really knew how to take advantage of the camera. She knew how to set up her actors. She knew how to frame them. She knew when to give them a full shot, a close-up. Everyone did a phenomenal job. There was no standout performance. Everyone was as equally as good as the other. So like I said, the plot kind of felt forced in the beginning, but once you get into it, you're into it. I'd say if you're one of those people who enjoys listening in on a conversation about a very serious subject, you would definitely get a kick out of this. I think most people would enjoy this, not just because of its relevance, but because of the performances. So I'm going to give One Night in Miami an A-. Thank you for watching my video, ladies and gentlemen. I hope to see you again next time.